Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very special guest with us. He is one of my best friends. We are connected through the IE Business School Alumni Network. He is a literal rocket scientist. So if you thought I was a nerd with all of my biochemistry references, I found someone who's like 5 levels above me in terms of nerdiness. And he is now the owner of, he's laughing, which is making me laugh, which I'm sorry, that's why I'm ruining this. So you can't make me laugh during your intro. I've got this. He is now the owner of the anti-hangover drink. Go ahead. Now I'm going to try to make you laugh while you're talking.
Thanks, Adi. I was not expecting such a warm, nerdful introduction. So that's always a great first impression. So, but yeah, I did work, as a rocket scientist, obviously for a while. Just I went to school for mechanical engineering. I got a couple of degrees in that, and it never actually worked as an engineer, but just consulting aerospace and things like that. Now having moved on and obviously going to the same school we went to in Spain, that really kindled my passion for, which unknown to the app at that point was for entrepreneurship. So just like engineering with the creative problem solving, and they give you the tools to really figure out how to handle those things. The whole entrepreneurship thing is not just related to STEM, but just across the world. It's psychology and marketing and everything else. So yeah.
Okay, so I left the biochem lab and he went right into it to create this amazing new drink that helps you to prevent hangovers. And we have, I could say from firsthand experience, that we have totally tested this to the umpteenth level with copious amounts of rum and everything else that should give you a hangover. And everyone the next day was like, oh my God, what was that drink? So happy 30th birthday many years ago. But yeah, so.
We try not to tell people how well it works because we like to under promise and then over deliver. Because when people are drinking, they're not sure exactly how they're going to measure this out or how much they need to take, because it's not a medicine; it's part of the party. You can drink it by itself, but the coolest thing about it is you mix it with the vodka or rum, and your cocktail then prevents your hangover. So we definitely do not tell people how well it works. We let them figure that out for themselves. So because we don't want people to hurt themselves. It's definitely not part of our marketing strategy. The
claims I am making are not official marketing material for his company. They are claims of a friend who brought it to all of her birthday parties.
We've tested internally, to some extent. And we had one person that we were working with overseas, and he said, "Oh, I'm really excited. I'm going to go crazy." And I was like, "Well, don't hurt yourself. Try it out with a few drinks, and then assuming it works well, which it would, then expand, go maybe a little bit, test it a little bit more, and increase, slowly and in a healthy way." And he says, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And the next day, I get a message that he has consumed 2 bottles of red wine with his wife, had 4 gin tonics, 4 shots of tequila, and 4 beers. So he had 16 drinks, and he had 2 antis over the course, and mixed everything, and woke up and he goes, "Absolutely fine, no problem at all in the morning." And I said, "Okay, well, we can't tell people that." No, but we really can't tell people that as far as in advertising, because we don't want people to be doing that. Yeah. We can't encourage binge drinking, so we just want people to, if they're gonna party a little bit too much or a glass of red wine or 2 that's giving them a headache, then this will take care of that stuff. So.
Yeah. So let your customers be the testimonials for you.
Yes, exactly.
So what did you do before starting Anti, aside from being a rocket scientist? What did you do that led you here?
Okay. As far as they have some rocket science stories if you want those. But as far as having done that, I worked at a few different places. I volunteered, did some work in Thailand. I taught at a Buddhist temple school there, and I worked at an investment bank in New York, and worked at Columbia University for a bit, doing research on glaciers in Antarctica. So I have a bit of a diverse career. But where the whole concept of anti came from. People said, "Oh, you must drink a ton and always drunk." I'm like, "No, I don't even drink that much." But I've always been like, coming from New York, everyone, is, just families and neighbors are all, everyone's, you have Italian and Jewish neighbors, and everybody wants to be good hosts. And so I learned that from a young age. So even in college, undergrad, where people were having parties and charging people $2 for crappy beer, I said, well, these are my guests. I'm not going to charge people to come to my house, and I'm not going to give them bad beer. I'm going to be a good host. I'm going to give them, what they like to drink. Like, what do you like to drink? And, make sure I had that and could make them creative cocktails and things. So I had a fully stocked bar, and people were like, wow, you must be an alcoholic. And I was like, well, if I was an alcoholic, all these bottles would be empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, from that, I ended up starting doing dinner parties and cooking for people as well to be, an even better host. And then beyond that, I said, well, I don't want people to feel bad the next day. So I was giving them, things like, remember handing out Pedialyte and things like that to people, just to still be a good host tomorrow, even though they weren't even my guests anymore. And then
for those of you who do not know Ethan, he is your classic, like, protective older brother who just is thinking 10 steps ahead about everyone that he cares for. I have a parking ticket story that I'll tell you in a few minutes. I have another story about the fall, but to just drive this point home. But so yeah, I'll share with you guys a few more stories to drive home exactly how much he is one of those people that just cares about everyone in his bubble. So yeah, so you were giving them Pedialyte.
Well, I'm gonna now, since you said that, I'm gonna jump off topic also. But you mentioned the big brother thing. I have two younger sisters, and I'm the oldest. And my sister, when she was a teenager, she wanted to go to a Nine Inch Nails concert in a mosh pit, which was going to be general admission. And so and my parents don't know anything about this kind of music, and so they asked me if my sister could go to a Nine Inch Nails concert, and I said yes, but I'll go with her. I spent the entire concert in the middle of the mosh pit, with my arms literally locked to the side of me with my sister in front of me. So when the crowd came and crashed and smashed into her, I would take 80% of the blow.
Yeah.
Before it hit her. So I mean, I definitely sort of have that mindset.
Ingrained in your mind. No, but my favorite was when we were out to dinner after that networking event, and you looked at me and it wasn't even shocking for me because we just have this is how we are with our friends. You looked at me and you were like, did you extend your parking? And the other woman at the table with us was like, she's out to dinner. She thinks she's out to dinner with these two industry titans, the CEO of an international anti-hangover drink company and the CEO of an international software company, and we're reminding double checking whether or not we remembered to pay for parking. And she was like, wait, what, do you really do that? And I was like, oh, Ethan's the most nurturing older brother. He's the person you want in your corner. But yeah, there was another story. What was it? Oh, in the fall, some really bad things happened with bullies, and Ethan was like, you're not going to vanish from the public. You're going to come with me to one event a week. I was like, I don't want to. And you're like, anytime you feel uncomfortable, you find me. And I will be your safety bubble, but you are going to continue to go to one event per week until you're over the fact that yes, there are bad people who are bullies and there are good people who are nice to network with. So yeah. Anyways, so that gives you more of an insight of how much, I don't know, you're just so caring about the others around you. And I guess that maybe that comes from not only your upbringing, but from your time in the Buddhist temple. But I think it's one of those things that a lot of people miss when they just quickly meet you and look at Auntie and look at the fact that you're a rocket scientist and the fact that whether or not he wants it, these gorgeous young Miami Beach models flock to him and just surround him. And whether or not he wants it, he has all these gorgeous young models half his age that are begging for a chance to be seen with him, maybe even on a date. So then people get this this idea that he's this crazy frat boy, when really he's the amazing, empathetic, caring best friend, older brother. So that, yeah, anyways, that gives you guys more of an understanding about why he created Anti, and like how much care he put into creating this product.
I mean, I'm never going to complain about people wanting to talk to me and be friends with me, and I'm it's always nice and flattering. It's always good to meet new and interesting people. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want to, everyone should be interesting and be passionate about what they want to do and talk about that. Yeah. So, I was going to go in another direction, but I think I'll pause it there before I say something.
Hold on to it now.
But let's see.
How old is Anti?
What's that?
How old is Anti? When did you create?
So a few years ago, I was walking out to the party and carrying Pedialites in each hand to give out to some friends because they would be fine tomorrow. And I was just looked at it. I said, why isn't this already part of your drink? Why is this medicine? Why isn't this just something that is enjoyable? And so I looked around for it. I tried to buy it, and it didn't exist anywhere. I was shocked, and then I said, somebody else will figure it out eventually. And then I ended up going to a business school. Went through that whole startup routine, as you know, the entrepreneurial journey, like 4 or 5 times in the program. And I always had a list of different ideas, and that was at the top of the list and always stayed there. And then so toward the end of it, I said, okay, well, let's do this for real. And we started, pitching in a competition and everything, and we won a bunch of awards. And I don't know if you know this. I don't even know if you know. When we at IE, we had this 1 month intensive competition for startups and pitching, and at the biggest entrepreneurial school in Europe, right? Probably number 2 in the world. I got the award for amazing entrepreneur coming out of that program, among a pack of entrepreneurs.
Okay, so what a lot of people don't know about IE, they're like, you guys go in not really knowing each other, and you come out like the best of friends, like you've known each other for decades. They have us partying at a different party, representing a different country, like every weekend. And someone in my class calculated it, and they were like, the average IE business school student consumes 5 liters of alcohol per month.
Yeah, it's
so if anything were to win at our school in a startup thing, it would definitely be something to address the fact that we drank copious amounts of alcohol that year.
Yeah, and surprisingly more alcohol than in my mechanical engineering master's program, which is where, people would just randomly go to bars. They wouldn't all flock together constantly into all these themed parties. But of course, you have the incredible diversity there, which led to all those different opportunities to say, hey, let's have a party and have the people from Japan introduce the cool things, their favorite kinds of food, and explain how they relate to the culture and everything. So
So it wasn't like you went to a party and you were just binge drinking. It was you went to the Brazilian night, and they had 5 different drinks that they wanted everyone to try to understand their culture fully. And if you rejected after the 3rd drink, they were like, but then you don't understand my culture. And you're like, oh crap. Okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you'd go to the next party. You're at the Japanese club is having their party. And they're like, but you have to try every single type of sake that we flew in just for this party. And you're like, FML, my liver is going to be dead. Oh, thank you so much for bringing 19 different types of sake to the party. I'd love to have a massive hangover for the next 5 days.
Did any? I guess they didn't bring any sake from Mexico, we tried a couple weeks ago.
No, there was no sake from Mexico. I had never even heard of that before the dinner that we had to go to last week. Yeah.
Anyway, just to wrap up that story that started a while ago was the whole concept of Anti basically came from me wanting to continue to be a good host and a better host for friends and family. And so it's like, well, this is a major problem. I mean, it's actually shocking when we look at the data. It said, oh yeah, well, people drink and sometimes people get hangovers. 2 million people every day go to work hungover just in the US. And that's at work. I mean, so there's another 5 million that are on vacation that are hungover, but show up to work every day, 2 million, it's just insane. So it's like, oh, well, the problem is even more massive than we thought. And so what we recognized in as part of as well we developed this was that they have the pills and the powders and the shots, but most people don't take tons of supplements, and they fit their lifestyle. Just like you could always buy the caffeine pills, the no-dos at the gas stations, the last 50, 75 years, unless you were cramming for finals in college or driving your big rig across the country at night, you probably weren't going to take this caffeine pills. But then once basically Red Bull put that same functionality into a drink that tasted good, that people liked, then it's like, now there's no weird stigma about taking this drink, and I like it, and I can mix it with alcohol maybe also. And so now that functionality is now meet people's lifestyles. And we're the first ones to basically recognize that and put that same functionality into the hangover drink.
So essentially, you looked at how there's Red Bull and vodka, but that doesn't prevent a hangover, but it makes a fun cocktail. So then you took Anti, which was Pedialyte inspired. You mix that with gin, with vodka, with spiced rum, and you realized, hey, this is a delicious cocktail, but it also prevents a hangover. And so that's what we have with Anti now. And if you guys didn't notice, I never wear blue nails, and I'm wearing Anti blue nails for his. This is the color of his brand. A little special tribute to your company. And you're also wearing blue.
Appreciate that.
Of course. Now, let's see. You had a recent amazing marketing win. What was it?
Yes. So we have an up and coming artist, King Charles, and he's a real fun guy. And I've been to his studio a couple times. We were hanging out, watching him get ready and rehearse, and chatting with him and his buddies, watching some NBA finals and things like that. I got a call from another friend of a mutual friend of ours, who I've met at some of those same networking events actually that Adi and I have been to, and he said, and so we were working with this emerging musician in the Miami scene, and so we were excited to work with him and figure out how we could work together. And I got a call like the night before Rolling Loud, which is like this massive music festival, if you're not familiar with it, and said, hey, King Charles is going to bring Anti on stage, like to Rolling Loud. And this was like, at the Hard Rock Stadium, and over a 3-day weekend. And again, if you're not familiar with Rolling Loud, you probably heard of Coachella. And Coachella is like the biggest event of the year in that in that genre and type of music. And second is Rolling Loud. So it's a massive, like full 3-day thing that fills the stages at on the middle of Hard Rock Stadium, like 3 days straight. And so that was a huge, coup for us to get, up on stage with one of the artists, repping it and literally making up his own taglines for us. We would have preferred he used not one of our taglines, but he's making up his own and on the spot. To get up, on stage and be affiliated with huge brands like that, and huge, cultural place of cultural impact. This was fantastic and really helped get us more well known in Miami, where of course we launched out of.
Yeah, and then you were also in his documentary.
That's hasn't come out yet because Rolling Loud was fairly recently. So the film crew that was doing the documentary about Rolling Loud and including K. Charles was. They were there in the studio, and it was actually funny to watch because we saw him do his entire performance that he did at Rolling Loud on stage at the Hard Rock in the studio, just hanging out and waiting for it. So the DJ puts on the music, and they start the flow going, and then they got one or two people that he would be singing with, and so he starts going and starts doing his songs, and then he even has rehearsed the exact things that he's saying to the crowd. to like get them pumped up in between the songs.
Yeah.
And so he's saying this to just people in the studio and jumping around the stage as if he's like right on the stage. And so he went through the whole choreography, all of the so he not only obviously knew all the words, songs and everything, but also the in between was all like laid out and scripted really well. So that was really cool and interesting to watch. So that was all being filmed by the film crew that did an interview with him. And then then he even did like a commercial. It's like sitting there and like
I think it's interesting how much prep work goes into those moments that people think are organic.
Yes, sure.
Like there's a speech that I get flown in to deliver in various places, and people will come up afterwards and they're like, "That's amazing! It gave me goosebumps." And they don't know it took me more than 100 hours to get that speech nailed down. And they're like, "Oh, could you write a speech for me like that? Like what? It would take you like just a couple days, right?" It's like, no, that took, yeah.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I have like, sometimes we're, in pitches or, times where we're talking to either strategic partners or customers. I have like a script for myself that I'm working through. And I remember one time when actually one of the rocket science jobs that I was working at, my interview was, I had like, for some reason, it was a weird interview process. They gave the questions like 15 minutes before the interview actually started. So you could give yourself a little bit of time to prep and have things ready. So I had my answers already, and there was only one that I really had to like tweak to go. And so I had such good answers, but I didn't want it to seem like forced. So I was basically reading the answers that I had already like written out, but I added like pauses as if like I was just thinking about it off the top of my head. And so sometimes when I'm speaking, and I build in like those things that make it seem like I'm not actually, that it's off the cuff when it's not necessarily. No, this is, but
yeah.
So if you see, let me add a pause here strategically.
We are not adding strategic pauses. This is basically a coffee chat that everyone's tuning into.
Yeah.
So what is next for Anti? You got on stage. You're now popping up at a lot of events. You're looking to go into restaurants, liquor stores, luxury hotels. What is next for you guys?
Yeah, so we should be getting into some big obviously restaurants and bars are the most natural way of easy places for people to access it. What people don't really think about all the time is, like you mentioned, is hotels and the mini bars, because people that are on vacation or on work trips, they are very likely to drink, and either they want to continue their vacation having fun, or they have some meetings the next day. So they want to make sure even if they're drinking, they're still ready to go. And so this would be perfect placement for into those hotel mini bars, so people can just grab them. And that's going to be the most popular thing in the mini bars for these hotels. So we'll get some of those chains on soon. Another thing that's sort of related to that, but even more so, is our unique customer for us is are the resort casinos in Las Vegas, because everyone goes there to obviously party, but gamble, and that's what they're there for. That's what they want to be doing, and the casinos encourage this by giving out free drinks to people, so they continue wagering more and more and having more fun gambling. But then the next day, their mornings, early afternoons, they're just passed out or wrecked in their hotel rooms, not doing what they want to do on vacation, which is have fun, which is gamble more. And so the hotels, they make money because they give out the free drinks, the casinos, but they also lose money because then the next mornings and afternoons they're not gambling. They're stuck in the
revenue. And if they were to bring Anti in, then they could double their revenue just by having the people active twice instead of once.
So literally giving Anti away to their customers would increase their revenue. So
that's brilliant.
Great for them. So that's where we are now. We're making our first moves with those retailers. We got one. We just got the okay to get started in one like huge convenience store gas station chain, which is obviously a great place, because we want it to be, again, it's like you can order it online, but we don't want people. It's not an e-commerce product, because if you want it now. You don't want it 3 days from now from Amazon.
Although like those of us who try to do the hosting thing the way that you do, we keep cases on hand. Like I always have a case downstairs, but.
Yeah. But yeah, the best use is really like at the bar, order it and have it mixed with the drink. Or when you're leaving the bar, getting an Uber going home, get one to go and drink it while you're waiting for the Uber.
Oh yeah.
So and then if you wake up and you forget about it, you want to go to the 7-Eleven and grab one. So that's yeah. So yeah, we're making our first moves and forays into those larger venues to really get to that that. Because we're really like a B2B company, B2B2C, not B2C.
Yeah, but people can order by the case online still, correct? You haven't gone completely B2B yet?
Yeah, you can. We're in a handful of shops. Our first few places in Miami. So that's going well. But yeah, you can order it online from TikTok and from Amazon from our website, and in like 4-packs or cases, 12-packs. Yeah.
And what's your URL?
Oh, it's anti-elixir.com. So anti as in anti-hangover. Elixir, like the magic potion that it is. ELIXIR.com. So anti-elixir.com. And you can find it there. And obviously we have Instagram, social media, and so happy to have people always following us on that. And one thing that we're really doing is really trying to is engaging with other folks on social media and influencers, and helping people kind of encouraging them to generate their own content, whether it's making new kinds of cocktails or new use cases for anti, or just showing them partying and having fun with it. Because that's a fun way for people to engage where they get it's a win for them and win for us as well.
Yeah, like all of the women out there doing the make their own sourdough bread. It could be make your own anti cocktail.
Yeah.
Because right now we drink pickle juice after alcohol if we don't want a hangover, and this is a much tastier alternative that can go with your vodka.
Yeah, the pickle juice thing. When I was in, I'm from New York. I was in a bar in Manhattan, and I saw picklebacks for the first time. This was, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. And a shot of whiskey followed by a shot of pickle juice, and they had a few different infused flavors of regular or jalapeno or horseradish. And this was a really cool bar, and they had these things, and I had no idea what it was. I asked some random guy at the bar what it was, and he told me about it. My cousin showed up a little while later. I told him about it, and he goes, "That sounds awful. Let's do it." And so we did it. We're like, "Wow, that was great. Let's do another one." And we had a few too many. And so and my other cousin arrives, and she's was living in Williamsburg, so she's a lot cooler than I am. And so I said, "Hey, there's this thing called picklebacks. They're awesome." And she's like, "I know what that is. Let's do it." So, and then I ended up actually exporting the entire concept of picklebacks to St. Louis when I moved there, and showed it to a few people, and then they went into like bars where they were hanging out with their friends, and the bartender's like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "Oh, I'll do a pickleback." And the bartenders all went, "What is that?" And then so they all needed to do it also. And so basically I spread picklebacks from New York to St. Louis.
Oh my God.
But the whole concept of the pickleback was to get to what you were saying. I thought this was a new cool thing that the hipsters in Williamsburg and Brooklyn had come up with. And then I go to visit my buddy in Russia. So I was in Moscow and St. Petersburg. And when you get like at the bar, you're all these different kinds of vodkas you're drinking, but they get a huge plate of like pickled herring and potato and pickles and things like that. All these pickled things that are super salty. And so and I was like, I'm like, oh, this isn't something that somebody in Brooklyn made up. This is things that what Russians have been doing for 300 years.
Yeah. That's why like people are like, why do you always travel outside of the US? And like, I feel like with certain things in the US, like we're so, as much as there are things where we're so advanced, there are other things where we're so behind. Like in Israel, if you're a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jew, you're an Ashkenazi Jew. And the Ashkenazi Jews are known for being like the smart and logical ones. So I don't have to, like, I can just say, this is the best strategy we should go with. And they're like, oh, well, an Ashkenazi Jew said that, so that's what we're going with. And here they're like, you're a young blonde female. We don't listen to you. You're just supposed to be cute. And then you go to Russia and it's like, you can have a proper party and not be hungover. And then you come back to the US and people are like, let's binge drink and have no food. Yeah.
Yeah, that is yeah. Well, that is unfortunate, and well, hopefully we're changing that. You know,
Slowly.
yeah. I've managed to impact huge impact on cultures where you wouldn't think you'd be able to before. So like this is more of a global scale, but it's still yeah, it's but I mean we're going in that direction. So and we're yeah, it's going to happen soon. So we're excited to make people happy and more productive.
You know, it'd be really funny to do like, you know, the Pepsi Cola challenge.
The Pepsi versus Coke, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So do like a pickle juice anti-challenge.
Yeah, and if people don't know what it is and they think it's just something like it's a good tasting cocktail, and then you give them a shot of pickle juice and they're not expecting it, that would give some quite a
You will have so many spit takes. You're gonna have to be like 3 or 4 feet back once you have them try. Maybe have a parka on.
First put on the parka, like the like what, like why?
Well, I'm thinking they're going to be spitting at you, so you don't need them to wear a parka. You need to wear a parka, or whoever's recording it needs to be putting the parka on.
Yeah, that's Pepsi challenge. Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know how many people know why the Pepsi challenge like did what it did, because Pepsi had, I know it was just if anybody doesn't know what it is, it was in the 80s it was like a commercial campaign, and they just Coke was out selling Pepsi, has always been, and they blindfolded people and gave them Coke and Pepsi and like and just had them taste which one, and 2 out of 3 people were picking Pepsi all the time, and it wasn't rigged, it wasn't fake, it was just true. Everyone picked Pepsi, not everyone, but like 2 out of 3, which is ridiculous. And so they're like, we're gonna blow Coke out of the water, and but then they didn't, and the sales didn't go up like crazy, and people couldn't figure out why, and then ultimately they realized what it was. It was like because the first sip of Pepsi is it's like a lemon lime-ish sweeter flavor, and raisin and vanilla is the kind of the base of the Coke flavor, and so on the first sip it's sweeter, and so the tongue like recognizes that sweetness, and so people like that more on the first sip. But if they're drinking a whole can of it, they really want Coke. They prefer Coke, so that's why that didn't translate to what they thought it would. So yeah, and so.
But it did push a lot of other competitors out of the market, so that it was just Pepsi or Coke instead of all these other cola brands. So it didn't get them the effect they wanted, but it did get it to the point where only 2 companies had the majority of the market share. But it wasn't just in the 80s, because I was born at the end of the 80s, and I would not have remembered something that was on TV when I was 1. So it also extended into the 90s and early 2000s. But yeah, anyways, okay. So what is the best way for those who want your product in their restaurant or store to get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I mean, obviously through a website, there's contact info there. Just info at antielixir.com, email, or give us a call. Our phone number's on the can, the phone number's on the website. So it's I mean, for some reason that was
personal phone number on the can.
No. Not my personal.
Is that why you have like so many gorgeous models running around after you? Like you put your phone number on there and said, "Ladies, I'm single."
We do get spam phone calls, like everybody does, from Ohio, because a number that we decided to use has a 513 area code, and the reason that it does is because we got it's really like 51 Elixir 89, because we got Elixir in the number, and that was the only area code where we could manage to get
Elixir in the name
within the actual phone number. So it's a 513 number that that's on the website and on the cans. But if you call that, that you can get a hold of us, or obviously email is the more normal way to do it. But yeah, I mean, obviously anyone doing involving in marketing and social media, we're active on those platforms as well. So
very cool. So thank you for coming on the show and for making me laugh through my introduction, which I've never done before, like a true older brother. It's fine.
Well, so thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I've been obviously we're friends, but I was enjoying watching previous episodes with not, of your show, and the one with Steve. What was his last name?
Oh,
Benedetti?
Steve Beninati.
Beninati, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And and because obviously he was a huge influence, on you, and so I was watching that, and then he, but he said he was very humble that you had said that, but he didn't necessarily like remember that exact interaction, but because that was just a normal kind of conversation of him being naturally helpful and friendly with people and sharing his knowledge and wisdom, and so I got to thinking, and then he like talked about something that somebody he spoke to that helped him when he was getting started in his career, and so that got me thinking. I said, hey, this is like all these interactions are actually really asymmetric when you think about it. So when you're talking to somebody, you say, you remember like this amazing thing that this person said to you or this thing that happened, but a lot of times they don't remember that. They have no recollection of it.
Yeah.
And so, and I've been on both sides of that, where it's like people have been this is this was so great what this person said it, like okay, if you say so. I don't remember this, but it was so important to me and helped me as I was progressing in my career. And then I've heard that the same thing happen like from other people when I was leaving the agency with when I was leaving the rocket science thing to go to Spain
That shall not be named.
to do the business school thing in Spain.
The other mothership we all love.
I was head of this of the Employee Resource Council that was like kind of championing diversity, which is apparently people think is a political issue now, but so we basically helped improve the culture and the and employee like satisfaction throughout the entire huge agency, and so I was the lead of that this one council. And as I was leaving, I told everyone I was moving on, and one guy who was the new lead of the council, who I'd only spoken to just a couple times briefly one-on-one, and he goes, oh, this is so like upsetting for me personally because Ethan's had such a huge impact on my career and my life here. And I was like, we don't really know each other that well or at all really. And so but it's so it was just sort of a reminder to always be nice to people, help people whenever you can, because you're going to be they're going to remember those moments that you will forget. And so so this is one thing that dawned on me when we were chatting earlier. I had said so you're talking that you're giving people these moments and that you're never aware when you're doing it. So always be your best self and be helpful to people. And so then when they're telling stories about you, they're talking about how helpful you were to them. And then the secondary, tertiary benefits to that, are going to come back full circle. And so then this dawned on me that you could probably create you can mathematically model karma in that way.
Oh my God.
So
We're
it's
ending the episode with you understanding that my IQ is in the top 1% and Ethan's IQ is in the top 0.01%. So for those of you who have completely lost us, we are diving into a very math nerd topic. Thank you for timing it at the end, because sometimes I brought it in the middle and people just get lost. Okay, so now I see what you're saying. Yep. So you've mathematically modeled how karma works.
Well, I haven't done it. I just recognize the formula basically to do it, and so I've worked with some mathematicians that that can do that fairly easily. But we have the inputs for it basically that can do it. So somebody else can do the coding, but we got the we got the layout and the formula of the template of how to put it together.
The formula, because we want to go around calculating the effects of karma.
I mean, there's a market for that.
Do I have enough karma points today? Was I nice to enough people? No, something that I've been trying to do lately. So the story that Steve didn't remember is his wife has the nicest, most high-end restaurant in this small beach town where a lot of Wall Street elites, executives, the past president of Merck Pharmaceuticals, presidents of banks, they all vacation there. And if they want to go out for a very, very nice dinner, it's at his wife's restaurant. Well, him and his wife have this gorgeous restaurant, and they could never understand why people who were studying at the top finance at like the top schools in New York City insisted on working as waiters and waitresses for a summer at his wife's restaurant. It was not just because they wanted the chance to be the waiter for the CEO of a bank, which could change their career forever. They also wanted, I keep calling him Mr. Beninati because I've known him since I was a child. He said I can't do that anymore. So I'm like rewiring my brain. They also wanted Steve to look at their resume. So I remember one summer, there was a guy who literally commuted. He came all the way down from New York City, found a tiny apartment to rent for the summer just so he could be a waiter at Steve's restaurant so that he could have a chance to show Steve his resume. And every weekend, Steve would come down for throughout the summer. And every leading up Thursday and Friday, leading up to when Steve was there next, this kid would have every single person that was waiting tables at this restaurant proofreading his resume. And now I didn't know why Steve was called the Kingmaker. I just knew that he was called the Kingmaker, and that if I was ever going to wait tables during a summer job anywhere, I had to do it at this restaurant. So then I got my chance. The dishwasher broke. Or the dishwasher, the person who washed the dishes didn't come in one day, and they had it set up so we pooled tips. So it didn't matter how many tables you served, the tips were all pooled at the end. So everyone was like, oh, I'm not washing dishes. I'm not washing dishes. And I was like, my parents have sent me to humanitarian aid projects in Haiti, Bolivia, Cuba. I've literally walked into remote villages around the world, been handed stitches, scissors, and asked to operate on a dirty table to remove masses from people's heads. So washing dishes, not going to kill me. So I was like, okay, you guys, we pull tips anyways. I'll wash the dishes. So I roll up my sleeves, go in, start washing the dishes. And all I had to do was literally take them, put them in a machine, pull them out, and unload them. That was it. It was nothing tragic. Well, Steve and Sandra weren't there that day. They hear about it. Steve writes me a letter, and he's like, you are type A, go-getter, solutions-oriented. You belong in the entrepreneurial world. I heard you're studying biochemistry. That is not where someone with your brain and your go-getter attitude belongs. You belong in the entrepreneurial world. And I was like, wow, I got a letter from the Kingmaker. Oh my God. And then, so I got back to college and I took this internship where I was literally a model for a guerrilla marketing company. I was not supposed to talk. I saved her from intellectual property theft. She was fitting dresses on me before a fashion, one of our guerrilla marketing campaigns one time. And there was someone asking questions that were sketchy. And so when that person left, I asked her a few questions, and I was like, do you think she could be setting up for intellectual property theft? She was a marketer, brilliant artist, no legal experience whatsoever. I heard enough of my parents' lawsuits from their careers to know a thing or two. And I was just like, well, it sounds like this. And she's like, okay, I'll keep an eye out for it. Saved her from intellectual property theft. She pulled me into work on projects with her for Porsche, Whole Foods, Target, and Disney. And those projects are what got Apple in Italy to say, we want you to run our store. And that's why I was the youngest person to run an Apple store and to break Steve Jobs' record and everything else. So if Steve had not given me that pep talk, I would never have taken that internship. And everything else would have fallen apart. So that's why he's called the Kingmaker, because he literally will say, hey, you belong there, not there. And you're going to get frustrated there, and you'll be successful there. And he just takes young people, usually college age, because that's the age of those that are going to work for his wife, and he points them in the right direction. And that's why you see the most well-educated 18 to 22-year-old scrambling to be waiters at a restaurant for a summer, because he changes your life. He does. There was another girl, he gave her advice to go work for Goldman. She was going to go take over a fashion store. Instead, he suggested she go to Goldman for 2 years. She did, and now she's one of the biggest decision makers deciding which investment capital goes into certain startups throughout like between New York and California. Yeah, so that's why he's the kingmaker. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. These little moments could absolutely change people's lives. Absolutely. I was getting frustrated with creating all those shorts for consulting, and I was kind of like, I have to create like 20 a week. I was like, I don't want to do it this week. And then my best friend from when I was 8 sent me a picture last night, and she was like, your shorts are popping up for your marketing are popping up on my computer in Seattle, and I've never searched your name. And I was like that was like the one motivator that I needed to like keep going. So it really only takes one piece of motivation from one person when you're at a rough spot. And you never know when people are at that rough spot to give them that motivation. Or like you this morning when I was like, look, you are a demigod, you are a badass, I am your wing woman, I'm only your wing woman because I know that you're gonna do great things with the right wing woman in your corner. So get your suit on and get on camera.
Yeah. Well, yeah, great. Time flew. I thought it was, I thought we were 15 minutes in, and you're like, oh, yeah, we're wrapping up now. I'm like, oh, I didn't even get to ask you some, probing questions. So,
go ahead, ask me probing questions. Let's do it.
Well, I don't know. We've both been trained in dance.
Yes.
So yeah. So that was
among other things.
Yeah. So that was another thing that you often run into people that that you go to business school with that have often been trained as in dancing. So so anyway, I was just gonna broach that topic and let you let you speak to your experiences.
My experiences about what?
Having what your dance training was like, because it was very different from mine, because I was a competitive ballroom dancer.
Yes, that's right. Oh, you want me to tell the Russian story?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I can do that. All right. So when I was 6 months old, people don't know how I got into ballet. My parents were massive skiers, and they were in Vail, Colorado, and they had me in a backpack. Obviously, this was the 80s because you could keep a child in a backpack and no one would ask questions.
Was your like head emerged from the backpack and the zipper?
They did not tell me logistically how this was done so that I still have my nose and ears intact today, but I know that I was warm and well fed. So they would take the gondola up the mountain in Vail, and then they would my mom would she would like feed me on the gondola ride up, and I would defrost and like snuggle into her, and then they would put me back into this backpack and ski down. I don't even know if the backpack was on their back or their front. I just know I'm still alive. So they decided,
because you feed on the way up and then you burp you on the way down. So if you spit up, it'll just go past them over the shoulder into the mountain rather than like make a mess.
They didn't even have to burp me. They just went over the bumps on the mountain and it just burped me like this.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
Yeah, they let the mountain burp me.
You were raised by moguls on moguls.
Yes. Yeah. So with the flawless logic of young parents, they decided that I would be skiing on my own the next year. So at 18 months old, they didn't just want me walking. No. Most children are expected to walk by 18 months. I was expected to ski. So when I was like on my way to being 1 year old, they put me in ballet classes, and I was literally rolling around on the ground. And their idea was that I would feel more social pressure to start walking faster if I was surrounded by little girls who were dancing. So it worked. 18 months old. So I started walking early. 18 months old, I'm skiing with them in Vail, Colorado. Well, then they decided there were so many other benefits to me being in ballet. So I end up studying ballet until through elementary school, through middle school. In middle school, my father's a commercial architect. He works on churches and synagogues and this and that. And every once in a while, they want some sort of performance before the church or the synagogue, like before the rabbi or the person gets up to speak, like while everyone's singing, they want ballerinas on stage. So then my parents were like, oh, our daughter's an introvert, but she'd love to get over that. Let's take her on stage. So then they literally would throw me on stage in front of thousands of people. And my mother would do this thing where she didn't think it was a good idea if I'd get a warning that it was going to be on stage. So it'd be like Saturday around lunchtime, and she'd be like, you're going to perform tonight. And it'd be, what? Yeah, you're going to perform before 4,000 people tonight. Do you know what you want to do? No, I'd like to know who the 4,000 people are first. So yeah, and then my parents thought, wait, she's like doing so well with this, we should up the ante. So then it got to the point where like anti-purposeful hangover, or purposeful play on your company name.
That's why I got you to tell the story, so you could plug me right there.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, a very good play. So then they started doing this thing where they would tell me that I was going to give a speech. I would walk off stage from the dance. They'd hand me a piece of paper and say, okay, now go on and give this speech. I don't know these people. I don't know their religion. I don't even know why they're here tonight. And I'm going to deliver a speech to them. Great. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to. So then fast forward, I ended up being with a ballet company in high school. It was very cutthroat and competitive. And I realized the only way I could have one of the top 7 positions, which are the 7 soloists, is if I trained with the Russian studio. And then so what I would do is I would train at the company for 3 hours. I'd go to the Russian studio, train with them for 90 minutes. And then I would go they had weigh-ins, because you were dancing with men who had to throw you and lift you. So you had to be strong, but you couldn't be too heavy. So in order to keep my weight down and be strong, I would swim laps with this French model so I would train for like 5.5 hours every night. Yeah, and then I ended up getting ballet scholarships for college. One time I was asked to open. The Jonas Brothers wanted a ballet performance to open one of their concerts. And my mom, being friends with Mr. Jonas, was like, she would love to. You're flying back from Italy. And it was like, I'm not flying back from Italy. Why do you need me to fly back to the US? I told the Jonas Brothers that you're going to open for their concert. It was like, I'm going to kill you. So I had to fly back from Italy to open for their concert. And then, yeah, I think the largest audience I performed for, other than the Jonas Brothers, was like a few thousand people.
Wow.
Yeah. So go ahead. Your turn.
I'm going to spend my time Googling Jonas Brothers pre-concert ballet and see what I can find.
Yeah, do it. Actually, there were some really good photos from that performance.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I did competitive ballroom dancing, so we had like a little bit of knowledge across 12 dances as opposed to in-depth knowledge on one. And so, which kind of matches my personality of being, liking to get involved in lots of different things. So, but yeah, I mean, what inspired me was being awkward and feeling awkward about moving and dancing at parties and things. And then I saw a movie, and the guy looked amazingly cool, and ended up getting the girl because he knew how to swing dance. And I was like, wow, that looks so amazing. And then.
Ethan, you get all the girls. Every time I turn around, there's like 15 more teenage models next to you.
Well, so
I need more of them.
I go and so anyway, I take like this was when I was in school, in undergrad or grad school actually, and so I was in grad school for mechanical engineering on the competitive dance team for the university, and everybody else was like dance major, theater, performing arts, maybe a few other things, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a grad student in engineering. They're like, why are you here? And so
obviously to meet women.
Yeah, so I took the they gave out basically lessons to kind of recruit people to take their classes. So that's how they fundraised to go to compete to other schools, and then so I took a couple of those classes, and then they said, hey, come join you should try out for the team. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, right. And then whatever, I made up, there was some kind of flimsy excuse that I didn't show up for, so I didn't show up. And then the next week I see some of the the ladies on the team, and they said, so we had the the auditions last week. You weren't there. And I was like, oh, I couldn't because whatever. And they said, like, okay, we're going to have auditions again next week and you're going to be there this time. And I was like, okay.
Were they Jewish women? Because that's how Jewish women speak.
No, I was actually, I was the only white guy on the team. We were very diverse. So for a little while, but no, there were, this was, in New York. So lots of Latin and Asian and, we were just,
strong women from every background.
Yes, exactly. The other schools that were that had like huge budgets for their teams, they all wanted us to be there because we were like the best looking team. because we did all the rhythm dances rather than focus on like the waltz and the tangos and the foxtrots, which is what most of the ballroom teams were like, and they were all just like kind of like the rich kids basically at the rich schools, and so they loved having us there because they were like, get that team over to compete with us. So anyway, so I auditioned, I joined the team, and then I ended up like kind of actually teaching the class like a little while later, the classes. So I got to sort of pass that on and take it out to the next level. But yeah, so that was my.
And now you teach all the young models that follow you around Miami Beach.
Yeah, I mean, right now salsa wasn't even really we didn't compete in salsa because salsa, and for all you ballroom experts, I know you already know this, but mambo and salsa are actually the exact same dance, and the steps are exactly the same, except if you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Salsa is the street version of it, so you dance on the 1, so it's 1, 2, 3, so it's easy to find the beat. Mambo is the same exact steps, but you step on the 2, which is the offbeat, so it just makes it a little more complicated. But it's the same exact dance though. So, but obviously in here in Miami, you don't find people randomly mamboing. It's there's salsa clubs, of course, but nobody, you can't find anyone that knows how to randomly ballroom samba on the dance floor, because it's such an amazing dance, but just nobody knows how to do it. so yeah.
Shocking.
Yes, exactly.
Is that your next goal? Is after you get anti mass adopted across the nation, you're going to get samba mass adopted across the nation?
Well, I mean, yeah. Also, there's international samba, there's American samba, there's Brazilian samba, which is completely different, and then there's so yeah, actually, yeah, I was known as the swing kid. I actually got disqualified from some competition for illegal moves.
Oh.
So we weren't allowed to do aerials and flips and things like that, but we threw a couple of those in, and we actually got kicked out of. I got kicked out of one of my own events that was hosted at my school.
No.
But those were the for fun events, the extra ones. But yeah, no, that. But I was my favorites were swing and samba. But we would like but that's swing was common enough that you could always find some people that knows a little bit of swing dancing. But yeah, maybe I should that would be a good idea to get some kind of samba / swing club, so everybody can focus on my favorite dances, regardless of what they like.
Yes, they will learn to like what you like. Did you have any other questions that you wanted to roast me on my show with? Knowing that you were the only person who gets to roast me on my own show.
Well, it wasn't a roast. It was just hey, something we happen to have in common that we haven't really talked that much about before.
Okay, fine. Interrogate kindly.
Yeah, I think that's I'm finished with my Inquisition interrogation for now. So.
Yes. That's the other thing we have in the background is we're very good at subtly interrogating people, which turns it into a game, because it's like, wait, whose interrogation techniques are better, more covert? So we have way too much fun with that. And then people are staring at us like, clearly there's some inside joke going on 15 layers below here. But yeah.
But yeah, so my interrogation is complete for the day. But there were a couple other things that I thought we were going to chat about, but this went so fast.
Oh, go ahead. What is it?
Oh no, we could always do it another time. Oh,
we can talk about how you are my 3-year-old's best friend.
I mean, we could do that. I was.
He gets very upset when he doesn't see you for a play date.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get his, get him up, put a motor on his little a little 3-wheeler, so he can ride down to come visit more often. So.
Well, no, I think we're at an age where, yeah. That would not end well. My favorite though is when what did he do? He painted ice cream on his face, and then he ran up to you and gave you a hug.
Oh yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. He's 3, and it's like, I'm his best friend. That's cool. I mean, it might be a little awkward from my side, but but yeah, we were like, he was covered in ice cream. He didn't get obviously all of it in his mouth, so it was like all over his hands and everything, of course. And so so he comes over to like hang out, and for some reason I had a sweatshirt. I wasn't wearing it because it's Miami. It's never actually cold enough for a sweatshirt, but I had it with me in case. And so I found afterwards he had when I got back home, that my sweatshirt had now been now was signed by Daniel artistically. So the abstract designs were fantastic, and I have the original art piece. So
Great.
Yeah, so I'll keep that, and it'll be going up in the museum one day.
Of course, naturally. And you also got to see why all parents have a set of nice clothes their children never see, and mommy clothes or daddy clothes that are destroyed because they know they're just going to be even further destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the other thing you want to chat about?
Oh no, I just had some mildly amusing thing because you wanted me to talk about rocket science, but it was like, but with rocket science, it's like, I mean, I'm not building the rocket. I'm not the one building the rockets. So it was like, you're sitting in front of a computer, and it's like making sure the data for like GPS satellites is going correctly to the world, everybody in the world, and and make sure that's you're welcome. Right. So,
I'm doing something complicated you won't understand. You just appreciate the tertiary effects. You're welcome.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, and if your maps are not working on your phone, it's not GPS. It's just update your map on your phone.
Yeah.
So but like I mean, so we don't like get to like the last stuff on missions, obviously, or like I mean the when the rockets launch, that's a lucky fun day, when that happens. So they were, but sometimes we were working with NASA, and they said, but we're consultants basically, and making sure things fly right. And so they said, oh hey, they're like, oh, NASA's launching a couple of rovers to Mars, and we're like, awesome. So it's like we were ready for like the launch to collect data and check for anomalies, things like that. And NASA's like, no, we don't need you for this. And we're like, great, okay. And then so we're like walking, head is drooping, and then like so they launched the rover, and then they had like some anomaly that they couldn't explain, and so they were just like, oh, so we got this data, like they were like, well, we weren't there. You told us not to come. They're like, well, we got another one coming up like next month. Can you help us with that one? So like, right? It's like, yeah, okay, NASA, we'll help you with your rover.
Yeah,
making sure you send it to the right planet. We're good. So
oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, actually, so I mean, we didn't really have much of that impact or anything on that mission, but maybe it's just coincidence. But the one that we did support, that rover was had a lot fewer problems, and had a much longer life, and sent so much more data back as a result.
Isn't it strange how when you have experienced people who understand basic mathematics, things just strangely work out?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so weird. Like,
so once you get, we'll talk to some of our math PhDs buddies that and have them code karma, and then we'll have that.
Yeah, the one that I love is when people are like, no, I don't need your help with marketing. I have a marketing book. I'm going to follow that instead. I'm like, okay, have fun. And then they come back 3 months later and they're like, I spent all my marketing budget and I didn't make $1. Can you help me? It's like, you didn't need my help, and now you can't afford to hire me, and you want me to help you. That's going to end well. Yeah.
Hey, if people offer to help, then take their help.
Yeah. No, it's.
Yeah, and yeah, again, you never know. You never know. When something that you help somebody with is going to be memorable and impactful for them, and help make their lives better. So
yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I had there was a woman last year that saved me from a really bad incident that a bully set up to try to like I had this very dark bully that like people are like, how is she not in jail? And she tried to set up a very bad, dangerous incident, and someone that was like super powerful within that organization, like literally the most powerful person in that organization, walked in, saw what was about to happen, sat down next to me, like debunked it, derailed it from happening. A few months later, she got this rare chest infection, and no one knew what to do. And guess which little blonde happened to have triacetyl uridine with them, because I keep that in my med kit. And guess who turned around and was able to give this unique chemical compound to her that literally drained the fluid from her lungs so she could go back to her international campaign. So yeah, you never know who you're helping and how they might come back and completely like save you from something that could have killed you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway,
That's
yes.
fantastic.
I know, but I don't think that would have been an easy one to code.
Yeah.
Like you would have had to have
you never know. I mean,
in your data table to code that she was going to get a rare chest infection, and I would be the only one that knew which chemical compound would drain the fluid. Like that would take. You'd need a lot of data to be able to predict that.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I didn't know how to code caramel, but today I do. So, you never know.
All right. Well, do you have any other things that you want to throw out there?
Oh no, that's plenty for now. This has been amazing. Thanks so much, Dee.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on the show and for being my bodyguard every time I was afraid to go to an event, and coming with me to get my drink every time there were scary people at the bar. Letting me very maturely hide behind you every time I was intimidated by some creepy people.
Well, yeah.
That's what mature adults do for each other. No, some people call me the sleeping dragon, and then Ethan knows me as the little sister that runs and hides behind him. And other people know me as this like fierce dragon in their corner that won't let anyone destroy them. Yes, so this is the dragon that I hide behind. But anyways, okay. Bye, Auntie. We will see you all online or at some crazy party that Auntie is going to be at. Take care.
Thanks, Cheers.